I'm going to share with you 30 British foods which you can basically only get here in the UK. This first one you're looking at is called toad in the hole. Now, this is effectively sausages in a big plate of batter, so it's all baked together. The batter is your usual flour, eggs, milk, whatever, and you put sausages in there, bang it in the oven, have it with some gravy. Bubble and squeak. This is traditionally made with the leftovers of a roast dinner, and it's effectively like potato, cabbage, and some other sprouts. You can put whatever you want in it, but you take all your leftover potatoes and vegetables from your meal the day before, and you put them all together and cook it. Faggots. These are faggots, and very popular in the UK, at least certainly in the Midlands and a couple of other places. And they're kind of like meatballs, but more pork. It's like the offal. It's all the remains of the pig that nobody wants, and you put them in a meatball and have them with some chips and some peas. It's called faggots. This is haggis. I'm sure you've all heard of this. A Scottish dish. It's made from sheep's heart, liver, and lungs, and traditionally it's served inside the sheep's stomach. You put oatmeal and spices with it and some suet, and again, pretty tasty stuff. This is a roast dinner, and we eat a lot of roast dinners. This one is actually from Toby Carvery, which I happen to love, and it's you fill up your plate as much as you get. You can get as many different veg and meats and things as you want, and this is a very, very classic British meal which we eat a lot of in England. This is a Yorkshire pudding. British thing, yeah, it's like batter. You have it with the roast dinner, it soaks up the gravy, and it's really tasty. Sometimes they'll even serve you your roast dinner inside a Yorkshire pudding. Steak and kidney pie, classic UK dish. Make a pie, put some steak, put some kidney in there, serve it with some veg. Bangers and mash, again, recurring theme here. Sausages, potato, veg, gravy, so much gravy. It's thick, it's dark, it's delicious. And if it's going to be gravy, it has to be Bisto. Bisto is the classic UK gravy. It's been around for 100 years. They know what they're doing. It says it on the can. You just add boiling water and it's delicious. If you do live abroad, then you probably will struggle to find this unless you go to like a special, like imported UK food type store. Cornish pasty, as the name suggests, famous in the southwest of the UK and Cornwall. And you got meat, you got potatoes, you got onions, delicious, all baked in this pastry. Traditionally, the reason it has a thick crust over the top is because the Cornish miners would take the pasty, they'd have dirty coal-covered fingers, they'd hold the crust with their fingers, they'd eat the rest of the pasty, and they'd throw the crust away because it's by now covered in coal. Jellied eels. Wait a minute. Jellied eels. Yes, that's right. These are eels in jelly. Eels as in tha'abin al-bahr, like the long snake-like fish. And you put them in some stock, you boil it all up with spicy like stock, and then you allow it to cool, and it's eaten cold, and you get these eels which are in jelly. It's very famous in East London. It's not that particularly common across the whole of the UK, but certainly East London you'll get it, and places like Essex, Southend perhaps. Margate. Crumpets. Oh, I do love a good crumpet. Look at those knobs of butter just melting on that crumpet. We love crumpets. We have them for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or as like a snack, and they're really tasty. If you've not had one, try one. Yes, I love you. I just realised that says I love you, but yeah, it's Marmite. You can tell by the logo. Marmite is like yeast extract. It's very high in B vitamins, and if you're Australian, you might call it Vegemite, or like if you're Kiwi, probably they have it there too. But Marmite is a very famous UK brand, and as far as I know, like you don't really see it in many other countries. This is malt loaf, and I used to grow up on this stuff. It's like very energy rich, quite healthy because it's very high in fibre. It's like a loaf of bread. It's like sticky bread, but very starchy and kind of sweet as well. And it looks like this in the wrapper, and you can have butter with it, you can toast it, and you can do all sorts with it. Really good for energy, so good if you like going hiking or something and you need to be doing lots of walking, lots of energy demanding tasks. This is spotted dick. So spotted dick, spotted because it's got raisins in it, and dick because German for thick is dick. So spotted dick, and you have it of course with custard in a nice big bowl. Which brings me on to custard. Now custard, like other countries call custard different things, so you might get custard, in like the US, but it's more like a white sauce. Like proper UK custard looks like this. It's from Devon, which again is the southwest of England. Devon custard, it's creamy, it's full of milk, it's like really good, and it's so good you can just eat it by itself. I'm not talking custard like as in the custard you find in a donut. This stuff is completely different. Cream tea. A cream tea is scones with jam and cream and tea. Cream tea. Scones, these are scones, jam and cream tea. Clotted cream is something you only get in the UK, so I'm kind of putting this all into one. Clotted cream, very, very thick cream, very British, and we absolutely love a cream tea in England. Jammy Dodgers, hobnobs, custard creams. You don't get these biscuits in other countries. Jammy Dodgers, hobnobs, and custard creams. Absolutely delicious. You can dip them in your tea, and if anything happens to custard creams, like there was once outrage because they changed the recipe. I think a supermarket like changed the recipe for custard creams and they weren't dipping so well. So yeah, that was a big deal in England. This is an Eton mess, and supposedly made famous in the famous school Eton. It's cream, it's strawberries, it's meringue made from egg whites, and it's like a dessert, so it's quite tasty. Sticky toffee pudding. It's sweet, it's sticky, it's toffee, it's pudding. Yeah, have it with ice cream and some caramel sauce. You'll get this in every single pub and restaurant in the UK, guaranteed. Cheese and pickle sandwich. Oh, I love a cheese and pickle sandwich.
Thought I might make myself a nice little cheese and pickle sandwich for me din-dins. Love, nice little cheese and pickle sandwich for your din-dins.
I am partial to a nice little cheese and pickle sandwich, Harry.
Yeah, I grew up on these. Pickle, cheese in a sandwich. It's got to be Branston pickle, of course. And yeah, that's the best brand. It's delicious. You know that we love Branston pickle to the point where if you go to a music festival or any kind of big event, you will see a Branston stall just there. Like, I would like come and get some free pickle. Speaking of cheese, national dish of Wales is the Welsh rarebit. So basically cheese on toast, but technically it's like a cheese sauce. So you get the cheese, make it into a sauce, and you put it over some nice fancy bread. Full English breakfast, you've all had one. That's what it looks like. It's delicious. You get egg, sausage, bacon, beans, tomatoes, hash brown, mushrooms, the lot. And of course, black pudding. Black pudding is congealed pig's blood. It's very nutrient rich. It's supposedly a superfood. It's got a lot of nutrients, a lot of protein, and lots of vitamins and minerals and things. Yes, it's pig's blood. It's very rich. It's got a very rich flavour, so you can't really like nosh down like 12 of these things. You want to have like just maybe one of those little slices, and you need a lot of slightly more savoury, less rich foods to kind of eat it with, because it's so filling. You eat it and you kind of feel really quite full. You might even feel sick. Part of the English breakfast is of course Heinz baked beans. Heinz I think is a Pittsburgh company, but we love it in England. I don't know if it's always been Pittsburgh, maybe someone can correct me on that in the comments, but yeah, Heinz baked beans, and we have baked beans a lot. You can't really get them in lots of other countries, but in England you get baked beans on toast, you get baked beans with cheese, you can have cheese with eggs and baked beans, you can have baked beans with everything. It's a meal in itself. They're high in protein, high in fibre, and I want some beans now. HP sauce, aka brown sauce, delicious on an English breakfast once again. It's hard to describe the taste. It's kind of vinegary, but it's really tasty. It's better than ketchup. A little bit different, a little bit of a change to your typical ketchup, mayo, barbecue sauce. It's quite unique. And of course, Big Ben's on the front there. Scotch eggs. So we take an egg, we wrap it in sausage meat, and then cover it in breadcrumbs and call it a Scotch egg. And yeah, they're delicious as a snack. You can have them for lunch. You can buy them in supermarkets next to the sandwiches and the wraps and the sushi. You find some Scotch eggs. What did you get? I got a tuna and mayo sandwich. What did you get? I got a chicken wrap. What did you get? I got a couple Scotch eggs. You know, like that's pretty classic. Mushy peas. These are mushy peas, and how good do they look? They're basically peas mashed up together with some salt and some sugar, kind of processed, lots of liquid in there, but you can kind of, they're like thick, they're thick. You can't drink them, but they're like very moist, very thick and really tasty. You can dip your chips in them, and of course mushy peas you get at any chippy. You get them in a chip shop, and they go really well with, of course, number 30, fish and chips.